Welcome to the Awakened Human Podcast, the place to be for highly progressive yet extremely grounded intuitive guidance, energetic support, metaphysical tools, and higher consciousness for highly successful, ambitious, soul-centered visionaries and leaders like you who want to make a global impact and achieve your highest fulfillment by aligning with your soul's true divine agenda and your role in God's plan of lighted creation, and by utilizing your divine gifts, talents, and abilities from the higher realms. We do this by working with the non-physical realms of higher guidance, energy, intuition, and powerful metaphysical tools for healing and transformation. We understand that the real change and transformation that's being called for on planet Earth and in our own lives and our own businesses doesn't come from outside of us, but rather from within. And that the change that we desire to experience in our lives and in our world requires us to change from the inside. I'm your host, Lori Ann Spagna. I'm a best-selling author, spiritual catalyst, intuitive, energy worker, ascension guide, multidimensional channel, animal communicator, visionary, lightworker, and luminary. I have dedicated my entire professional life to helping thousands and thousands of humans and animals all over the world in service and contribution to the light, which is the expansion, the upliftment, the evolution of humanity, to awaken, to uplift, and to align with our true divine source, which exists within each and every one of us. It is my passion, joy, and purpose to share this information, energy, and consciousness with you. Thank you so much for being here today and for sharing time with me. Let's get started. Well, hello there, you magnificent being. You gorgeous, fabulous, spectacular one. You fabulous, radiant, luminous being. Hello. It is so great to be with you here today and always. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for sharing time with me. Thank you for tuning in. So today we're going to talk about a topic that is very interesting. It's actually a part 2 from last week. I didn't plan on that, but it sort of became clear that it was going to be made into 2 parts. So last week we covered how to work with and clear yourself and others of entities and other non-corporeal, non-physical beings that are influencing you and feeding off your energy. So we addressed that last week. So if you didn't hear that, you might want to tune in to last week's episode on that. But this week we're going to talk about the corporeal beings who are like that. We call those energy vampires. We typically call them energy vampires. Usually energy vampires are beings in the physical world. That means they have human bodies who they themselves, without their knowing, are usually, though not always, they're being affected and interfered with by other non-corporeal, non-physical beings without their knowledge, without their conscious consent, but they're unconsciously consenting. But these energy vampires, you know them well. So that's what we're going to talk about today, how and what you can do about this, right? So let's first define energy vampires. And you guys all know them, right? They're the naysayers on the planet. They're generally the negative complainers and whiners. You know, for those of you who are visionaries, light workers, who have some business, you likely have worked with them. You've likely been one somewhere in your life. We all have at some point or another, probably. Even if it wasn't this lifetime, it was probably another lifetime. If you never had it in this lifetime, you probably cleared it somewhere, right? The naysayers, the whiners, the complainers, the people who are never grateful or never give you credit or never appreciative. The people who they just whine and complain or see the negative. They're energy drainers. You're around them. You feel exhausted, depleted, and drained. You're never positively uplifted by them, or very rarely. You have to brace yourself before you interact with them or prepare yourself in some way. Sometimes we see them as members of our own family, right, who are there by soul con. Doesn't mean we don't love them, but they might be there. Some of us have that. They're there for us to learn, heal, grow, and resolve something by them being so close to us, right? I'm not saying that's always the case, but oftentimes. So these energy vampires, and if you have a business, as many of you do, entrepreneur, solopreneur, they're your client nightmares. If it's not that, I mean, they're just the friends that whenever you're around them, either you just don't ever feel positively uplifted. And not that you need that in your friendships all the time, but just overall, you start noticing the pattern of it. Or sometimes it's just people who kind of are not grateful, generally not. They might be the whiners and the complainers. I think I made the point, right? And they're the naysayers. They're the ones who say no a lot, or they're takers somehow. They might always be taking from you and you might feel exhausted. I used to have a friend, I don't know her anymore, but I remember every time we always had great energy. She was always asking me questions about me or about my work or about spiritual things. And I always enjoyed her, but it was exhausting because she was always like, we were friends and we enjoyed each other. And I really loved her, but this was always like a taking energy. And I just remember it took a lot of energy because and she loved it and I loved her, but I was always teaching around her or healing her or giving her energy. And there was no wrongness there. That was the dynamic of that friendship. We just lost touch more because of proximity than anything else. But these are kind of energy vampires, right? Because you walk away somehow, sometimes feeling drained or depleted. And yes, they're your worst client nightmares if you have a business, if you've had any of those. And they're the people that will generally not be like receiving with gratitude or appreciating. Here's the thing I want to say, because we all know who those energy vampires are in our lives. We've all had touches with it. We've all probably been it at some point in our lives, if not this lifetime, some other one. What's important to understand is those people are in so much of their own negativity. It's the example of the frogs in the boiling pot, right? And they're struggling and they're boiling in that pot and they don't know how to get out. And usually their only way of operating is to kind of pull you down with them because they're so deep down in their own sense of misery or some form of like their own unpleasantness or their own negativity, right? Because they can't see the light. From where they are, they're drowning or they're boiling or they're in their own state of misery. They're in their own state of negativity and they don't know that that's their state. That's all they can see. And they usually will project it onto you too. They don't recognize the mirror of this reality yet because they're in too much density. So everything they are experiencing, they will likely project onto those around them because they haven't elevated out of that, right? And so when you're around them, you feel exhausted, drained, and depleted. You feel tired. You feel like before you see them, you have to be prepared or be in the right state to be able to deal with them, right? And let me tell you the best way, or at least one of the best ways, or I'll give you a few. We'll see what comes through. I don't have anything planned here, but I do want to help you with this because the truth is, you may love and care for those people. I've had a lot of them in my communities over the years. It doesn't mean I don't love and care for them just because I don't necessarily enjoy them. Right? That's not enjoyable energy. It's definitely not my ideal avatar as an entrepreneur or solopreneur. It's probably not yours, right? Nobody wants to work with whiners and complainers. Nobody wants to interact with people who are never grateful, never give you any credit, never acknowledge you. Like, you want to be a positive, uplifting experience for everybody. And if you're an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, a professional light worker of some kind, a light leader, you want your clients and students to benefit. You want them to do well. You want them to get the benefits. Of course you do. Of course you do. You're a heart-centered, mission-driven solopreneur, entrepreneur, divine goddess. You want people to benefit. You're here for a reason, right? You want to bring that through and you want them to benefit. And of course, part of the way is they're going to say along the lines like, wow, this really helped me, or wow, thank you so much, or wow, I had a big aha, or oh, wow, I'm growing, or even this is really a struggle for me, but I know that you're helping me. Thank you, or something along those lines, right? Nobody wants to work with someone who's whining, complaining, blaming you, saying that you're not delivering or any of that crap, but they can't see because they're the frog in the boiling pot. They can't see that you're helping them. And if they're not ready to release all of their pain and suffering and misery, all of their entities, potentially, their own shadow. Go back and listen to the 3 episodes on the shadow work. If they're not ready to let go of their own negativity, if they're not willing to do the inner work that requires them to take responsibility for their part, you can't change them. You can't, because they have free will. And being around them, if they're not at least to some degree saying, I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound negative or pull you down, but I really appreciate your help. At least something in that zone, you're like, okay, you're not a saint. I'm not a saint. Like, if you were a saint, you'd be a saint, right? You probably wouldn't be listening to this. And if it's your family, you love your family. You care about them. Of course you do. You're a heart-centered, mission-driven person. Of course you do. You're a light leader. You wouldn't be here if you didn't. Of course you do. And yet you know that sometimes that is just maybe even more than you can handle, or just pulling you down or not uplifting you. So in those cases, sometimes you have to put it in like bite-sized chunks, dealing with them or handling them. That's okay. Look, here's where I'm going with this. In your mind and in your awareness, always just wish them their most benevolent best. Say a prayer for them. Ask the divine to put them on their right path and right alignment for their most benevolent best. This will never cause you harm, nor will it cause them harm. And if your truth is that you're always wishing for the most benevolent best, and you're asking for that, and in your mind and in your heart, you're saying, if I'm not the one to help them, let the right person come to them for them. Or if that's what they're choosing, the other piece to do is just honor their free will choice. This is really challenging. Honor their free will choice, even if their free will choice is to continue to suffer. Even if their free will choice is to stay ignorant about a tool that you think you can offer them that's going to really help them. Even if their free will choice is to have no interest in anything that would help them. I honor their free will choice. Because this is what angels do. This is what they do in the higher realms. We have free will choice. And you can't go down the drain with them. You can't get sucked into that boiling pot with them, because then you're going to be boiling and you're not going to be able to help anyone. So in your mind, wish them love, wish them peace. I don't even know that I would necessarily always wish them love if that doesn't feel right, because you can't be untrue to yourself, but you can wish them peace. And if it's your family, it's easier to wish them love. Look, I don't mean to define where and to whom you send love, because we light workers, we like to send love and light to everyone. But sometimes that's not necessarily the most appropriate energy. Sometimes the right energy is wish them peace, wish them harmony. And sometimes we don't know. So we just say, what's their most benevolent best? Whatever that is. That's what I wish for them. I release them to that and to their source. I lovingly release them. I lovingly set them free. I have let go of a lot of relationships in my life that just weren't serving me any longer by doing that. Because when you have energy vampires around you, they will suck you down into their misery unless you find a tool to lovingly free yourself from them and to continue to hold the light. Here's the light and here's the way. You're welcome to come along. You say that in your mind. Mentally affirm it. And even energetically and emotionally. This is the light. This is the way. Here's where I'm going. If you'd like to join me, you are welcome. If you choose another path, I wish you peace. I wish you your most benevolent best. I honor your free will. You love it in your mind. You say, I lovingly release you. Now, that might be more difficult with your family members. I get it, especially around holidays. But even if in your mind you're saying to them mentally, namaste. Mentally, you never have to say this out loud. It works. Namaste. I bow to you. If you bow to them in your mind and you wish them peace and benevolence, it will help your family relationships. It's a tool of the light. It really works. Decide to be in the light by always choosing the higher path. The path of the light never wishes harm on anyone. The path of the light never tries to control, threaten, dominate, manipulate, or coerce. It doesn't need to. So if you're in my circle and if you're listening to me, we're on the path of the light. And we understand people who want to stay stuck in the shadows or in the density or drown in their misery or be negative, the energy vampires, we can help them only to the degree that they're willing. Only to that degree. Other than that, we have to honor their free will. And we can't get sucked down with them, because that doesn't help anyone. That just creates more misery. That just creates more suffering. That just creates more upset. It doesn't really serve. So I hope you find this helpful. It is not your job to rescue anyone, whether you're a light worker, whatever your role is, whether you're an entrepreneur or solopreneur. I can assure you, if you're selling a class, a coaching program, a mentorship program, you cannot take responsibility for your students or clients. You can't rescue them. You can't force them to show up with a smile on their face. Trust me on that, I know. You can't teach them any amount of anything if they're not willing to change. You can't make them stay in your program if they don't want to. And if they're in your family and they don't want to change, you can't make them change. You can't force them to learn the new prayer that you're learned. You can't force them to take energy. I tried that for years with my parents. You can't force them to receive downloads or activations or clearings if you're a healer. Like, you can't. So just bless them. Bless them. Send them peace. Wish them their most benevolent best. Say a prayer for them. Bow to them in your mind. Decide that you honor their free will and choice, even if their choice is one that you know will cause them more pain and suffering, because that's their choice and that's law of this land. And your job is to continue to be the light that you are, to be the brilliance and the magnificence that you are, and to continue expanding and elevating into more light so that you can make the impact you're here to make, so that you can bring forward all of the fabulous magnificence you as a unique soul are meant to, according with your divine agenda, so that you continue to uplift yourself and others who want that, who need it, who value it, who appreciate it, and who are choosing it willingly and freely of their own free will choice. And so that you can focus on the people in your community who you serve and the animals who really are ready to receive, accept, and allow it. Because those people do need you, and those animals, and the world needs you, because you're a light leader, because that's what you're here for, because you have so much magnificence in you. So I hope you find this helpful. It doesn't mean you can never interact with your family. It doesn't mean you can't have interactions. It means that you're using a new way of operating to let there be peace and harmony, to give them the right to choose for themselves, to honor them, and also honor yourself. And so that you don't get sucked down with them, and so that you can be in their presence without judging them, making them wrong, because that will just cause problems. So when you namaste them in your mind and when you honor their path and their journey, it will be better for you. Their soul will recognize that, whether you realize it or not. Their higher self will recognize it, and it will translate to their physical experience. It is amazing. It's a powerful tool that completely honors and respects anyone you're using it with, and alleviates tensions quickly and easily, and allows you to still share space, physical space, with family members who may not be walking the same path as you, or with others around you, and will also help alleviate burdens or troubles in relationships in the professional world. I hope this has been helpful for you. This is how you deal with energy vampires. Bless them on their way, love them, or send them peace and harmony, wish them their best, and move forward on your journey in the direction you're meant to go, so that you can continue to expand, uplift, and elevate, and be the magnificence that you truly are. All right, you guys, I'm going to sign off for now. Again, I hope it served you. If it did, please share it. Share your comments, feedback. I love to hear from you. And in the meantime, I am sending you and wishing you your most benevolent best. Until next time, farewell for now. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for listening today. If you loved the show and if you benefited in any way, if it helped you to up-level or expand your consciousness, if you gained any new insights or ideas, if it made you think or become more aware, or if there were some strategies or intuition that you may have benefited from in any way, would you please do me 2 easy and simple favors? First, if you would be willing to leave a review, it would mean the world to me. I'd be so grateful. And second, if you're willing to share this show with anyone else who would benefit, you can either post it on your social media or just email it to someone and share it with another person or any other people. It would be so awesome. This kind of thing is so helpful in expanding consciousness on the planet and helping others to benefit from this kind of teaching, which just simply isn't generally readily available in the mainstream. So sharing it really helps others benefit and helps our planet evolve and awaken. Plus, expressing gratitude and generosity in this way will also expand your capacity to give and receive even more. Either way, I just want to say thank you so much for being here and for participating and for sharing, and overall, just for being the magnificent, the spectacular, the brilliant, the fabulous, the wonderful you that you truly are, and for allowing yourself to be the very best version of you today and every day. All my love and gratitude to you.